Draw the awareness to the breath. Feel yourself really pull it from the world outside. Our attention is so hooked into the world around us. The sights, the sounds, what's happening in this corner or that corner. Really allow yourself to pull that awareness out of being hooked into the world outside and bring it to the world inside. If you wait for the outer world to stop, you will wait lifetimes. Instead, we allow the outer world to keep doing what it does, but we pull that which we do have control over, our own senses, our own attention, our own focus, and we bring it to the inner world. So draw the awareness in. And allow it to merge into the breath. Don't try to change the breath. Simply allow your awareness to merge into it. Keep drawing the awareness in until soon there is nothing but breathing. Not a breather, but simply breathing. And a gentle, formless awareness of breathing. And as you inhale, take in the breath as the breath of life. Take it in as nectar, filled with grace, filled with light, filled with love and truth. It's the breath that comes to you from across the tops of the Himalayas, from across the waters of Mother Ganga. It's the breath of this land of awakening. Take it in. Allow it to fill, awaken, touch and heal every aspect of you. As you breathe in, notice the places, whether physically in the body, whether in the mind or the heart. Notice the places it doesn't flow to easily. Don't judge them or condemn them. Don't analyze. Simply hold a gentle awareness of the breath in that place. Until it moves. Taking in the light, taking in the truth, taking in that energy of grace. Allow it to fill you and overflow through you into the world around you. So we're breathing from the outer to the inner. And then spilling over from the inner to the outer until there is no distinction. There is no inner, there is no outer. It's just Gently bring the palms of your hands together, chest level, and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open your eyes and lower your palms. Welcome again to satsang. We'll begin as always with a question that's come in advance and then open it to anyone here who has any questions. What's the purpose of my life? And why am I here in this world? Because I really don't have an interest in this life. So this is it's a tragedy. And it's a tragedy simply of misunderstanding. When we don't have an interest in this life, it comes from many different reasons, many sources, but every one of them is a misunderstanding of actually what you're here for. So sometimes that lack of interest in life comes with, I've tried so many things, not good at anything, nothing works. I tried business, I tried a professional career, I tried this, I tried that, I'm not able to succeed in anything, not interested. Sometimes it comes the opposite way. Did the career thing, was a fantastic success, made a whole bunch of money, got to the top of the ladder, but I'm still not really happy, not interested. I've done everything. I've done whatever I was told to do, succeeded at it, did it fantastically, but what I was looking for isn't there. Not interested. Third way, we'll stop with 3. There's probably hundreds, but we'll stop with 3. Third way is what's the point? I've got maybe 50 years, maybe 60 years, maybe 80 or 90 years, maybe if I've got good genes or good health insurance, maybe 100 years, but regardless, it's very, very short. At the end of the day, you die. What's the point of doing anything? Why bother? Not interested. So 3 completely different ways in to the same misunderstanding. And as I said, there's probably hundreds of others, but here's the core misunderstanding. That somehow what you're supposed to be interested in is what you're achieving, what you're succeeding at, how much money you're making, how much you're acquiring that somehow you're going to manage to carry on into your next birth. And the truth is, that's not what we're here for anyway. And so it's actually great to be in that state because it means it's the first step. Normally when people come in and they say, don't have time to meditate, don't have time to do a spiritual practice, don't have time to do seva because gotta keep making money. Or don't have time because just gotta get through, this year in school, then I'll graduate, then I'll get into this, then I'll get this job, then I'll have this family, then I'll build my white picket fence, then I'll have time. And so for people like that, you have to first bring them into the place of realizing that's not actually what it's about. So for those who say, I have no interest, in a way, they're actually already a step in. So it's good. But the dilemma is they've stepped into a place where there's no light and they can't see. So what we're here for is to actually experience the divinity of who we are. We're here on earth in what's called the Divine Leela, the Sanskrit word of drama, because it's the only way to understand if we're God, and there's nothing but God, how the one became many just for the purpose of coming back to the one. So this is the Divine Leela, God's divine play. And the purpose of our existence is to realize that who we are is the divine. That there really is no difference between any of us or the tree or the river or this exquisite deity of Mahalakshmi, or the divine we worship in our temples or churches or synagogues or mosques, or the divine we worship with no name or form, not in a house of worship, that there is no distinction. That we're just here in this particular body. It's the form, the packaging we've come in. The physical body, which of course includes the brain, which is physical, which includes all of our, therefore, emotions, feelings, personalities, identities, all of that's rooted in this physical brain. So we each have our own form, but the content is the same. So we're here to have that incredible experience of you're praying to God, you're meditating, you're loving God, you're singing to God, however you connect with God. And then suddenly, there is no lover and there is no beloved. There's just love. There's just that divine presence. And that's what we're here for. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that the form is irrelevant. The form is beautiful. Each of us has taken God knows how many births to come with this very particular karmic package. This body with this skills and abilities and fears and ego and confusion and stories and drama. I mean, it's an exquisite packaging. And it's one that we also honor and enjoy. So the spiritual path isn't a path of pushing away the packaging, but it's a path of realizing I'm not the packaging. And even more than that, a path of realizing all of those in different forms. Can I see myself in that form? So first, can I respect you, right? So we've got all these workshops all over the world on tolerance, right? You work in the world of peace building and conflict resolution. We learn about tolerance. Okay, so we begin with tolerance. Can I tolerate you? Great. Step one, very important, but far from the end goal. Tolerance is only the beginning. Can I tolerate you? Then, can I accept you? It's not just, yes, okay, fine, I can manage to be on the same earth as you, but can I actually accept you? Doesn't mean I love everything you do, but it means that I accept you. Then, can I love you? And again, not necessarily everything you do. Don't have to approve of all your actions, don't have to approve of your values, but can I love your content? Maybe your form is in the midst of ignorance, ego, but that content that is divine, can I love that? But that's not even the last step. Can I go another step to can I see me in you? Can I realize in love that that same content that flows through me in this form flows through you in that form, and flows through you in that form. And that is what we're here for. And so if you have no interest in your career, no problem. If you love it, fantastic. Spend a lot of hours a day doing something. It's great if you can love it. But you can't love it, no problem at all. Find some way to just make bare minimum that you need so there's food on the table and you can spend the rest of your time engaged in seva, in meditation, in yoga, whatever it is that connects you. So don't worry if you're not interested in your career. Don't worry if you're not interested in accumulating things. Don't worry if you're not interested in climbing a social ladder. Not interested in the latest fashions. Don't worry about those things. Tragically, we're told that this is sort of the beginning and the end of what we're supposed to be interested in life. Either you like academics, or you like science, or you like business, or you like fashion. Like these are your options. And when you're one of the none of the above people, you think, well, there's nothing for me. And that's the tragedy. So we actually have to increase the number of none of the aboves to realize that's not what it's about. Because it means that you are forced. If you're not content to be miserable, which I hope no one is, you are forced to find something you are interested in. And that forcing of you to find something you're interested in is going to force you into a meditative practice. It's going to force you, okay, so if I'm not interested in looking like you, or having as much money as you, or dating you, or moving you out of my way so I can get ahead, can I be interested in seeing myself in you? Can I be interested in connecting with the divine in you? Can I be interested in using this interaction, if not for a contract, if not for a contact, if not for networking, if not for sensual pleasures? Can I use it as a way to get closer to God? Can I use it as a way to see the divine in you? If our scriptures tell us, I live within all, I am in all, then let us start, for God's sakes, practicing that. We're very picky and choosy about the parts of our scriptures we like. You've got sort of the favorite mantras, the favorite shlokas that everybody learns, and they're great, they're wonderful. But we tend to kind of disregard the ones that make us live a different way, like I live in all. I pervade all. Well, yeah, that means the employee you've just scolded and harassed. It means the colleague whose work you're stealing. It means the guy at the grocery store who you're mean to every day. It means the old person driving in traffic at whom you honked your horn and flipped them off as you drove by them, thinking, what an idiot, how dare they get behind the wheel of a car. It means everyone in your life who you're not treating as divine. It means our rivers, it means our mountains, it means the trees, it means the animals, it means Mother Nature, it means everything. So yeah, let's get interested in that. I sat on the plane yesterday coming back from Pune to Delhi and Delhi here with someone who started asking me about my thoughts on an American man. He was asking me about my thoughts on taking drugs, plant medicine, to give us an experience of heightened awareness. And I was telling him that's why we meditate. I was telling him that's why we pray and chant and do seva and all of the things that we do, because you don't actually come down from that. And it doesn't actually have a half-life. But the reason I mention it here is because he was saying how under the influence of that, he actually has this beautiful experience of being one with the world. And I said, well, yeah, of course, that's what our scriptures tell us. This is like Spirituality 101. This is not some out there, thou must have a chemical aid to experience this. This is what for thousands of years, long before people were distilling and synthesizing chemicals into drugs, that in our scriptures we were told this is what you are supposed to experience. Get interested in that. Get interested in figuring out how you, through this body, not artificially intoxicated, not artificially aided, can have an experience of being one with the person you're sitting next to. To have an experience of being one with the people you pass as you walk down the street. To have an experience of being one with the trees. Yeah, it's easy if you're on drugs. Can you do it without the drugs? Can you do it in a way that you're always connected? Without a half-life, without a hangover, without addiction. And yeah, it's not easy. If it were easy, drug sellers would go out of business. But remember that this is what we were given thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. In the scriptures, this is what you are supposed to experience. This is what you're supposed to be interested in. Can you see the divine in all? Can you experience the divine in yourself? Can you realize, I have a body, and it's gorgeous and wonderful and divine and amazing and a beautiful gift, but it's not me. I love it, I care for it, but it isn't me. And I love and care for the forms of others, but it's not them. Can I look out and instead of saying, God, wish I made as much money as this one, wish I looked like that, wish I had that one's job, this one's husband, this one's house, this one's kid. Can I look out and say, wow, there's me, there's me, there's me, there's me. Can I have that experience? And if you make that what you're interested in, then life becomes very exciting. Every moment is a challenge. And every moment is a challenge that opens you into the fullness of who you are. And that's what it's about. But it takes awareness, because it's very easy to just jump on a bandwagon. It's very easy to just be another person in a factory line. It's much harder to actually connect within and realize, how can I be a tool in the hands of God? How can I actually use my minutes, my moments, my breath, my life as I'm supposed to here? So if you get interested in that, suddenly life becomes much more interesting. Are there any questions that anyone here has? Yes.
May I know how we can inspire the people who is not interested or saying, I'm not interested?
How to inspire other people to be interested in this? You have to live it. It would be wonderful. It would be wonderful if we could make other people interested, change other people, bring people onto a spiritual path. How many people here, raise your hand, if there is someone in your life you would really like to bring onto the spiritual path with you? Right? Yeah, so all of us. Whether it's a loved one, whether it's a family member, whether it's a colleague, we all have at least one person, if not many people. We would love to be able to make them understand, what are you doing? The dilemma is, we can't. And sadly, in a way, the more you try to convince them, the farther it pushes them. Ironically, the farther it pushes them, the closer they are to you. So if it happens to be a colleague you don't necessarily know very well in the office, for example, who you come up to and maybe just share something with, they might actually take it. Thanks, that's interesting. Try to share it. A husband, a wife, a parent, an in-law. What do you get? Who do you think you are? Stop telling me what to do. क्या समझते आप अपने आप को? Right? This is life, of course. So the dilemma is, we cannot change them, and trying to do it simply pushes them farther away. I remember when I first went back to America after being in India, and I said to Pujya Swamiji, I'm going to tell my parents everything about this. I'm going to convince them. And he said to me, you will do no such thing. He said, that is not your place. He said, you will go back and you will simply live your truth. You will try to teach them nothing. Nothing. You will try to convince them nothing. You will do what they say with love while you live your truth. And he said slowly, and I said, but that's never going to work. He said, just be a magnet. Be a magnet. A magnet does not have to hang out a shingle that says, hey, iron fillings, come toward me. I'm where you want to go, over here. It just has to be a magnet. And all the iron fillings, wherever they are, suddenly start kind of vibrating, and they move and they move and they move, and they get there. Live that truth. Live it fully. And slowly what will happen is people will see the difference. They will see how you are, and they will understand, mujhe kuch chahiye. Aapka jo shanti, your peace. I want that. How can I have that? We understand. You understand when you're with someone who doesn't get upset, who doesn't get ruffled and flustered, who isn't overcome by lust and greed and ego. We know that. We may not admit it. They may never admit it. But slowly, 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 people see it. I have a very good friend who, she's from LA. They're big in the entertainment industry, a lot of money, sort of that world. But she is really just a yogi at heart, a sadhu at heart, and always has been very deeply connected to her yoga, her meditation. And one day when her daughter was very young, Mom went into the bedroom and didn't notice that her daughter was in there. And the mom started opening drawers and doing something. And suddenly her young daughter, 5 or 6 at the time, says, "Shh, Mom, I'm meditating." And the mom looked over and saw that her daughter was sitting on the mom's mat at the place that the mom has. And so the mom was happy and quietly left. And later the daughter said to her, "I was very upset at something her sister had done. And so I went to meditate." Now, the girl was maybe 5, 6, 7 at the time. But what she had seen was when Mom got upset, when something happened in the family, what did Mom do? Mom went inside and meditated. So this was the sanskara that she got. Mom never said to her, "You must meditate." But what she learned was, when I'm upset, when I'm frustrated, this is what Mom does. And when Mom stands up from meditating, she's happy and peaceful and calm again. Usme koi shakti hogi, koi magic hogi usme. Kya kare, she doesn't know. But she knows Mom comes, sits here and calls it meditating. So chalo, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit and whatever happens, happens, but I'm meditating. And this is the answer. You live it. The truth is a magnet. Insects come to the light. Iron fillings come to a magnet. All of the compasses point to the North Pole in this hemisphere, South Pole in that hemisphere. Again, you don't have to teach it or tell it. You don't have to convince your compass to stop pointing west. The power of that pole is so strong that wherever those compasses are, LA, New York, Delhi, Paris, Moscow, wherever it is, that compass is going to automatically go there. Just become that. And in the worst case scenario, they don't change at all, but at least you are no longer upset by the fact that they're not changing. At least worst case scenario is at least you have found that anchoring, that grounding, that peace that no longer is upset or attached to whether they do it or not. Best case scenario, they also start doing it. But don't go in with that attachment. Go in only with the agenda of your own practice being so strong that it emanates out into the world. And then slowly, people will say, my mom, only a couple of months after I had come back from India, just barely any time, says to me one day, she says, your presence is just so serene. I just want to be near you. Now you think, I never had to say anything about this is how I've changed how I think. But just by continuing to remember, just live your truth, live your truth, live your truth. Anchor yourself, ground yourself, do your practice. Slowly, your own power grows. So you benefit, and people realize they'll become changed. And again, they may not admit it. The ego is really quite a powerful force of its own. But they'll know. Whether they ever admit to you you were right or not, whether they actually come and sit next to you and meditate, or they wait till you've gone to the office and then they meditate because they don't want to admit that they've started meditating. Either way, slowly, it will impact them. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Yes.
What of the realization of self and supreme self?
The realization of self? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what is the question?
So what after the realization of self and supreme self?
What after the realization? When the realization is only intellectual, so I read a book, or I hear a lecture, or I go to a kata, or whatever it may be, and I realize on an intellectual level, yes, okay, not the body, soul. Well, then there's a lot left, because then you actually have to have the experience. It's one thing to read a recipe. It's another thing to actually cook food and eat it. The recipe doesn't nourish you. But it's a beautiful map to get there. But you still have to cook the food and eat it. So once I know intellectually, all right, not the body, I'm the soul. I'm awareness. I'm consciousness, I'm love, I'm truth, I'm divinity. I then start practices that actually bring me closer to it. I meditate. I do seva. I do things that clear out from me the blockages. I do things that remove from me the reinforcement of false identity, and that bring me into a place where I have more of an easy opportunity to access soul, spirit, tool in God's hands. Okay. then you come to a realization that's experiential. But typically in the beginning, it doesn't necessarily last very long. Sometimes you have it. Sometimes you have an awakening and that's it and it's over and you're done and you're enlightened. Usually what happens is we get an extraordinary experience and maybe it lasts a moment. Maybe it lasts an hour, maybe it lasts a week, maybe it lasts a month. But then, slowly, different aspects of life start seeping in and we find that we're losing the hold on that. And that's okay, it happens. But it's a reminder to just increase the voltage of the practice. At least in that place, you know where you're going. Because you've been there, you've tasted it, you've seen it. And you're never the same afterwards. Even if life seeps in, there's always a part of you that knows where you're going. That knows what it really is about. And so you always want to get back there. It's like if you grew up on fabulous home-cooked food. You go off to college, you get nothing but horrible dorm food. Cannot even remember what mom's food tastes like. But there's this thing in your mind that always knows, I'm going to go home on the holidays. I'm going to get mom's food. I'm going to get mom's food. But if you've never had it, you grew up on, McDonald's, well, then you don't know. You don't know until you actually finally one day are blessed with an experience of beautiful home-cooked food. Then you know, none of this is ever gonna suffice. So once we've had the experience, even if we find that we've lost it, there's a lot of people who come with this. Don't worry. You know where you're going. And it just means increase the voltage, increase the time of the practice. But with humility. Because a lot of times what happens once you have that experience is the ego is amazing. The ego says, I'm done. I'm enlightened. Come and worship me. I'm going to start my own lineage. I'll give out my own certificates. You can be certified in my path of enlightenment. You see a lot of this. And the dilemma with this is that the ego always comes back and bites you in the end. And so it has to be with humility. It has to be with, oh God, thank you. Thank you for that incredible experience of the truth. Whatever I have done in ignorance, in ego, to become separate from that, please help me remove that. Please remove my ignorance, my ego. Please remove my sense that I've achieved anything. It was only by your grace. I was standing high up on the steps and Ganga decided to rise up and splash all over me. I didn't do anything. That was her grace. I didn't even know enough to go down and stand in the water. I was ignorant to think I could just stay on the steps, but she was so graceful. She rose up and splashed me on the steps. This is what happens when we have those experiences. It's not about you. It's not about something you've done to deserve it. It's that you've opened yourself. You've opened yourself to grace. And then grace has come and has splashed you, washed all over you, given you that experience. But grace requires humility. So we go into it with humbleness. Oh God, please remove from me whatever it is that's now blocking me from having that experience again. Please remove from me whatever it is that has filled me up with such junk, such ego, such ignorance, such expectations, that now there's no room for you to flow anymore. Empty me so you can flow. And then, by grace, we're given a realization that doesn't dissipate, that stays with us, that supreme realization, God realization, moksha. Well, moksha means freedom. So when you say what after God realization, freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the ego. Freedom from the expectations, from the desires, so that I'm even more of a tool. This is where, when you see the enlightened masters, they are the ones serving even more. We think, oh, I'll attain enlightenment and then I'll just sit and be blissful all the time. But then you look at the enlightened masters, and what are they doing all the time? Serving, 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 giving, giving, helping, helping, feeding, feeding, healing, healing. Because with that moksha, that freedom, is the freedom of all of that thinks only about myself. Is that keeps me bound to what I want, how I want it, what I need. And so we become, in that realization, vessels through which God's will flows. So every minute of our life, every minute, every moment, becomes of service. Whatever we do, it serves. Without ego, without expectation, without desires, without fears, just by the nature of who we are. That's the freedom. That's the ultimate freedom. It's not freedom from the body. It's freedom in the body. If you don't have freedom in the body, when you drop the body, you'll just get another one after some time. The real freedom is in the body. From all of that nonsense. And then we become truly the divine here. You know, we began today by talking about what our scriptures tell us, and I'll conclude today by full circle back to scriptures. So we're given two very interesting teachings. In one, in many different places, many different ways, we are told, I pervade all. I am in all. Okay, so that's one teaching. God tells us in the scriptures, I am in all. Everything is pervaded by the divine. Okay? And then in another teaching we are told, whenever darkness is winning out over light, whenever adharma, unrighteousness is winning out over dharma, over righteousness, I incarnate in form to restore light to the darkness, to restore dharma to the adharma. Put those two teachings together, and every one of us is that incarnation in form of the divine, here to restore light to darkness, here to restore dharma to adharma. We just have to wake up to that fact. We have to wake up to that truth. And then, as the divine in form, we are able to do the work of the divine.